have been kitchens, there's been bog standard cookery, and there's been quality cuisine. But throughout modern history, the place that has really set the trend for fashionable food is the fancy restaurant.
Today is no different, and there are hundreds of fine places to eat across the country. The bad news is that the best have always been the reserve of the well-to-do.
Oh, but we believe in treats for all.
So, me and the Myers were on a mission to show you how to create restaurant-quality food at home and on a budget.
A pinch of knowledge, a sprinkling of inspiration, and a portion of time, that's all that you need.
To treat your friends and family to a restaurant dining experience within your own four walls.
I'm going to change my ways now. I'm going to go proper posh. Listen in.
Now, one dish that pops up on restaurant menus time and time again is pheasant.
But it's one that barely anyone makes at home. Game is often considered posh-nosh for the high polite to have after a long day's target practice.
But is it, Dave? Is it really?
They can be thought of to be a bit of a fiddle to cook, and they could be thought of to being expensive. On both counts, they're not. Those come in at the supermarket at £5 each. If you get them from butcher, about £3 each. So for 4 people, you're talking £6 for your pheasants.
And if you know a poacher, for lout.
Right then. So, just going to take the legs off. Alongside the breast, we're going to do a confit, which is a traditional way of preserving meats. And we start by sprinkling the legs and thighs with 2 tablespoons of salt to draw out the moisture.
It's good to hark back the traditional fare.
Once the salt has worked its magic, pour over a tin of goose fat. It's a bit of an extravagance at over £2 a pot, but the depth of flavour it gives is worth it. Now crank up the restaurant quality by adding a tablespoon of mixed masala spices, peppercorns, bruised cloves of garlic, a cinnamon stick and a couple of bay leaves, then cover with foil. And this goes into a medium to low oven, about 160 degrees Celsius, for about 2.5 hours.
Once you've separated the pheasant breast, don't even think about chucking away the rest of the carcass. Use it to make some stock for the basis of a great gravy.
Every good stock pot must have roughly chopped onions, celery and carrot. Add a stock cube to a litre of hot water to intensify the flavour.
Good bit of chicken stockaroonie.
There you go. Crack on for about an hour and a half or so while the confit's doing. The building blocks have begun.
Once the confit is cooked and cooled, it's time to make ourselves a mini gamekeeper's pie with all the tasty morsels that have cooked to tender perfection.
Now look how easily that meat comes away from the bone. How beautiful is that? Now what you want is you want all the meat and none of the sinew. And the sinew are like kind of little fish bones. Those are the bits that you want to leave behind.
To a hot pan, add finely chopped carrot, celery and onion.
Just as with the stock, these 3 simple ingredients enhance the flavours of pretty much any cooking pot. So all we're doing really is what all good restaurants have done for years. It's about using every part of the ingredient and making the best of what you have.
That's what makes it an everyday gourmet classic.
Drain the stock, add the pheasant, and to thicken the sauce, a tablespoon of flour. Pour in the remaining stock and stir until thick, unctuous and luscious. That's what we want. Now we need to wait for that to go cold. That's the pie filling. So it's time to make the pie crust.
Have a guess what I've got behind me back.
No, it's not flour.
No.
No, it's not a block of ready-made puff pastry.
No. And it's not sugar pastry either.
No. It's cold mashed potato.
But even a simple mash becomes gourmet if you add an egg yolk, a knob of butter, nutmeg and a dash of cream.
Give it a good battering.
Beautiful.
With restaurant food, presentation is key, so we're going to make tiny individual pies with pheasant filling.
It doesn't cost a penny more, but looks gorgeous.
Even that off. Get the confit, fill a little hole up there like that, and people are going to think, if you don't tell them, they've just got a really craftily shaped blob of mash. Little do they know.
Little do they know.
Place them on a roasting tray, Turn your oven up to 180. Remember, it's on 160 for your confit. And put these in for half an hour.
Heat up the griddle, and when it's smoking, add some of that jolly useful goose fat and a sprig or two of flavour-filled thyme. Season the pheasant breast liberally with salt and pepper.
Now, literally, what I'm doing is searing them off, a little bit of colour on them, 2 minutes either side. Okay. Now we put them in the oven for 6 minutes.
I'm making the gravy in the griddle pan using the lovely juices from the pheasant breast. Add a little flour and some of the stock from earlier, and for a glossy sweet finish, a blob of red currant jelly.
Now look at those.
Now they are belters, should we?
Yes, with confidence. Born of arrogance almost. Oh, belter. Serve with savoury root veg mash, a sprig of thyme, and lashings of that wonderful gravy. I'm dying to cut into that though. Because people are just going to think it's a bowl of mash.
Yeah, but it's not, is it?
No.
What this dish costs you in time really makes up for in flavour and wow factor.
And all those flavours will be in that wonderful, wonderful rich mash.
Pheasant breast, really tender, big savoury flavours, aren't they?
That's an exceptionally beautiful dinner for £3.
And you know what, in a restaurant, you can pay anywhere up to 20 quid for that.
Yeah, well, you're paying for the labour, you're paying for the trouble, but once you know how, it ain't that difficult.
Let's all go, Posh. I mean, come on, take a lesson from this.
Our love of creating beautiful and cheap gourmet food is something we love to share.
So, we've come to North Wales to help 3 very special girls cook a surprise restaurant quality meal of a lifetime.
12-year-old Sophie, a super chef in the making.
15-year-old A-star student Chloe.
An 18-year-old Shanice, she's a right champion.
That's Shanice down the middle, right?
Chloe and Sophie's mum and dad, Helen and Lee, are an extraordinary couple. 3 years ago, they chose to become foster parents to Shanice, offering her shelter and love at a very difficult time in her life.
So it was a bit of a tearaway team, really. I was in with the wrong crowds and doing stuff I shouldn't have been doing. I didn't want help, I didn't want support, and Helen and Lee sort of helped me help myself.
No!
Shanice has literally changed her life around. She's doing voluntary work and helping other young people.
And Shanice isn't the only one to have benefited from Helen and Lee's kindness. They've fostered more than 20 children over the last 10 years.
I think it's amazing having people living with us. I really enjoy it.
As soon as you walk in, you just get that feeling of a family, and it is amazing to live there.
You know, I think fostering is one of the most important things that one person can do for another. This wonderful thing that it's wonderful to be able to treat somebody who's been so supportive to 20 odd children over the years.
Mm-hmm. I think it's fantastic. I think it's great. I absolutely think it's fabulous. So, what's the mission?
So thank Mum and Dad for everything they do.
Okay.
As a representative for all the other young people that they have looked after as well, obviously Chloe and Sophie is their real mother and father, but
Yeah.
I could be sort of the representation of everyone else that probably thinks exactly the same that they are, Amazing.
Okay. What do girls give us some? We need some idea. What are they like? What don't they like? What their personalities are like? Yeah. Just give us some background because it's important to you. I can see that. Is there any particular food that they like?
Prawns.
They love prawns.
Prawns.
And do they like fancy food as well? Do they like food that's been a bit, dressed up, zhuzhed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be good. Yes.
Yeah.
So how much money have we got? Do you know?
£50?
Oh, that's great. Oh, we could do a 4-courser.
Yeah, we'll come.
That'd be good. Really push the boat out.
Well, you can rest assured that Mr. Myers and I will do our absolute utmost to help.
So the girls want to lay on a special meal for a very special couple to thank them for years of selfless parenting.
It'd just be amazing for them to actually have a day to themselves.
Hopefully they'll be surprised. Or they will be surprised.
Now it's down to us to make it happen.
Oh, I don't know about you, Sam, but having met the girls, let's make this the meal to completely remember.
Yeah, this is all well and good. What we're going to cook.
I think what we should do is follow that wonderful format to a really traditional meal. And we've got to start with soup.
Soup? I can't start with soup, man. It's boring.
What would you start with then?
Prawn cocktail.
God.
That's good, prawn cocktail.
You said I'm boring, a prawn
I
cocktail.
know, but it's traditional. It's wait, no, yeah, you know what I like the prawns and marigolds.
What about we do an amuse-bouche?
That's better.
But a little tiny amuse-bouche of like gazpacho, something to freshen your palate.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, a little gob tickler. Lovely. Yeah, amuse-bouche. An amuse-bouche is nothing more than a posh name for a tantalizer, a tiny little something to get your taste buds tingling.
It's the restaurant label for something as simple as a soup that's been given a gourmet flourish, and there's nothing to stop you doing the same at home.
We want to make a gazpacho for Helen and Lee, but this top tip will jazz up any soup.
First, make the parmesan crisps by grating the fresh flavoursome cheese, then spoon into bite-sized portions and place in a medium oven on a baking sheet.
Cook until crisp. Oh, that's like watching the sunset.
Really?
Sort of.
When they're done, take out and leave to cool, while you spoon out whatever soup you're using into little tiny cups.
Exactly how you funk it up is a matter of taste, but this course will only cost pennies and leave Helen and Lee plenty of room for the next 3 courses. Just don't forget your delicate parmesan crisps.
That's it, bite-sized and beautiful, a palate-punching amuse-bouche.
Or gob tickler.